Every entrepreneur is going to experience levels of frustration in their business, in their organization, at multiple points in the growth of their business, of their creation. It's the dealing with the frustration that's really important to understand. It is the frustration there for a reason. Part of our makeup as human beings is that we have to understand what we don't want before we can decide on what we do want. It's a part of natural evolution. It's how we grow. So it's really important for an entrepreneur to become really good at identifying the frustration or situation that is not causing the entrepreneur to enjoy themselves, because the whole process of growth in your business, in your endeavor, in your the mission-inspired organization that you're developing, that whole enjoyment needs to be maintained. Otherwise, the creation that you had so much enthusiasm, so much joy to create becomes your greatest source of unhappiness. And that's when, people become overwhelmed, they become frustrated, they become disappointed, they become angry at the time and effort that their business is drawing out of their life. So instead of the business contributing to their life, giving the feeling of freedom that they had imagined when they started, it's their greatest anchor in their life, and the source of disappointment and frustration and overwhelm. It's important to understand how to just simple mechanisms to get you to move beyond the point that's causing the frustration. So I love this idea of personal development. It is a journey. You never stop understanding who you are, becoming aware of actually the enormous power that's within every human being that we have access to when we understand how to have access to it. And that's freely available to anyone if they just take the time to start to uncover how life works. A lot of people spend a lot of time going to church or religious gatherings and so on for a reason, because there's something within them drawing them to that. There's a lot of people that find business their religion, and it gives them peace and joy because they're in a creative state, creating this organization, because essentially that's what we are. We're always for expansion and full expression. So when we find the group, the organization that allows us to express ourselves, that provides joy for us. Okay, so nothing's right or wrong. No, there's no one religion or every religion. It's just what it is for every single person. It only is the truth to you if it works for you. So if you find that you're going to, you've joined certain groups and so on, and you're not connecting with those groups, there's nothing wrong with that. Find the next group. But let's go back to this idea of personal development. In your personal development journey, there's value in watching the YouTube inspirational stuff. There's value in going to the 3-day seminars that get you all excited about life again and remind you who you are and so on. But really, the change comes when you start to write down for yourself what your philosophy is for life, for business. I'm talking about creating a philosophy for your business, because if you're an entrepreneur, that is a very creative space, and that creative space can be really organized, focused, and keep your attention on moving forward and not get sidetracked by distractions. And when you develop that philosophy, then you can make decisions very quickly. So I was talking to this idea to some business people earlier on today, and this is, I'm not saying this is the way. I'm saying think about it for yourself, but here's some suggestions. So what I've written down here is that probably want to start with deciding to go and discover for yourself what your source of supply is. What is God to you? What is this energetic, intelligent universe that we live in? What does that mean to you? And when I say this, what I mean by this is go and find the evidence to prove that everything comes from one source. Go and find it for yourself. Don't go with the attitude, I'm going to disprove it, because you'll find all the evidence that it's not true. There's something that is common throughout our universe, throughout this existence that we have, that both science and theology agree on. That science says energy just is, and it permeates every single molecule, every atom on this planet. And theology says God just is. So if that's the case, well, that's kind of the same thing. They don't have to argue. They're actually talking about the same thing. The people who are more inclined to believe in theology or put that first, they are saying, well, this is cause, science is effect, because cause is how we think and feel and how we connect with our source of energy from a thought perspective, whereas science is taking matter and then breaking it down into its smallest component. And that's effect. That's cause, is what we create through our imagination. That was once an idea in someone's mind. Now it's a thing. So thoughts become things. Our mind is a goal-achieving mechanism. So whatever we set our mind to, in our brain, we create it in the world. The experiences that we have, the relationships that we have, the food that we decide to eat, you name, everything starts with a thought. And so when people say, well, okay, well, where does that come from? Where does inspiration come from? Then we're going back to, just for your own peace of mind, discover for yourself the proof to prove your belief in your source of supply. So that, I would suggest, is the starting point. And remember that your paradigm, just imagine a circle around you. That's the limits of what you believe is possible for you. That is the experiences that you've had in life, the education that you've had, your cognitive bias, your emotional state of being, your inclination to look for the good or look for the problem, and so on. That the culture that you grew up in, all of that is going to influence the quality of your study and the interpretation of what you discover. That's your interpretation. That's why everyone's view of life is always going to be different. Your truth is what's true for you and your understanding, and actually what works for you. All right. So I would suggest that's a good starting point if you're going to build a business philosophy for yourself. It's understand where your source of supply is, where your energy comes from. Because when we learn to engage that, when we learn to co-create with our source of supply, then we as human beings can do phenomenal things. And everyone has access to the same source of supply. So the second point is recognizing that the greatest surprise we can have as human beings and surprise is your most powerful emotion that we have. It's sort of 300-400 times more powerful than any other emotion that we have. And it's actually part of our evolutionary process. The whole element of surprise, or the emotion of surprise, is designed for us to shift our perspective on things. And I'm not going to go into that in detail, but when the greatest surprise that we have as human beings is becoming aware that we're more than what we think we are, that we have this access to this infinite source of supply, this infinite intelligent system. We all have access to that. And when we learn how to access that, our lives become better. Our lives not only become better, but we are able to influence other people's lives for good. We can do that. The biggest lesson that I've recently learned is that really more people would want their lives to matter more than having more things, bigger house and more money and so on. All of that's nice, but most people want their lives to matter. Most people want the work that they do, the contribution they make to society, actually means something for others. Because essentially, deep down, at the core of every human being, we came here to serve other people. And that's when we feel fulfillment, is when we're participating in society, within our organization, within our community, within our family, and other people are benefiting from our effort. That is a wonderful way to live. And that's where fulfillment comes in. And if we take this whole idea of an emotional guidance system, from fear all the way to empowerment, freedom, and love, and every emotion or state of being in between that, fulfillment is up there with joy and appreciation and empowerment and love. It's way up at the top. And so fulfillment's a great objective to set your mind for. So becoming aware of who you are is separate and different to just getting more knowledge, to going to university and getting another degree, or studying more on a certain topic. It's different, because I didn't understand this when I lost a business when I was 35 years old. I was broke in a brand new country, first world country, in an expensive city, Sydney, Australia, and I didn't understand what awareness meant. I'd been to religious instruction as a young fellow. My grandmother was a Catholic. I'd done all this sort of stuff, but no one explained what awareness was. No one explained what the consciousness was. So I was oblivious to these concepts. When you start to become aware of who you are, everything that you already know becomes far more accessible to you. The biggest frustration most entrepreneurs feel in their life is that they're trying really hard to get to a goal, to achieve something, and they seem to be getting the same results over and over and over. It's almost as if it's on repeat. Doesn't matter how much knowledge they have, how much effort they put in, they don't seem to get a different result. And the reason for that is because they're not aware of how their mind works. They're not aware that we have this conscious reasoning or logical side to us that will think things through logically. But that is not what is operating and giving us our results every day. Our subconscious mind has made up of what we call our paradigm, which has habits of beliefs, fixed ideas. It's got routines. It's got our self-image, how we view ourselves in the world, and how we view ourselves participating in the world. all sits in the subconscious mind. It's just like your ability to drive a car. When you started, it was all in your conscious mind. Let me change from first second to second to third and so on. Push the clutch in, push the accelerator, push the brake, put the handbrake on, put the indicator on. It was all conscious. It was exhausting. Then it becomes a habit. So when we learn to make your personal growth a habit, then life becomes a lot easier, because all you've done is you've conditioned your mind to think in a certain way. So I love having this conversation, because it's actually not that complicated to reorganize things in your life, to let go of ideas that don't serve you anymore and replace them with better performing ideas. That's really it. It's not that complicated. But when you start to understand right from the foundation that there is one source of supply, energy just is. Or if you believe in God, God just is. And then everything flows from there through you. What causes the blockage in your life, what's causing the frustration, what's causing the repeat in results that you don't want, is just an idea that doesn't serve you anymore. It's fixed in your subconscious mind. So when you become aware of these things and you start to unpack them, then you can replace them. And it's that simple. So that was my second consideration. I'm not saying this is what you must do to be successful. People are successful all the time. But if you are not experiencing success, then developing a philosophy based on a framework actually helps a bit. It speeds things up. It's not random. It's not just, oh, by chance, you can actually systematically make it work for you. So the third thing that I'd suggest is that we are emotional beings. We operate every moment of the day. We're kind of operating with 4 planes of understanding any moment. Okay, there's a spiritual side of us, an eternal soul that is trying to nudge us in the right direction all the time. We have an intellect, we're blessed with this. We have an emotional side to us, which emotions drive behavior. It's our emotional state. We get passionately involved with something, and that's what causes us to move in a certain way. We get absolutely terrified about something, causes us to move in a certain way. So our emotions drive behavior. That's just behavioral science. It's not that mind-blowing. It's the way it is. But learning to manage that is really important if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, because it's part of the creative process, understanding that. And the fourth plane is that we have this physical experience, and that we're experiencing that through our 5 senses, and we're experiencing our results, our current results, through our 5 senses. So when we get this information, no wonder there's so much, this is what seems to be chaos in the world, or misinterpretation of things, because everyone's operating 4 planes of understanding at any moment. So the third point that I'm suggesting you consider if you want to put together your own philosophy is understanding that there are 2 states of being, essentially. You're either what I consider in a growth state, where you feel good, you feel connected to your source of supply, you feel exuberant, you're passionate about life, nothing's going to stop you. You're just moving forward in the direction of where you want to go. All right, you're in your growth state. You're calm, you're relaxed. Everything just seems to be working out for you. Or 2 states of being, you're disconnected from your source of supply. You're bored. You just seem to be so pessimistic about life. You're criticizing people. Or you feel overwhelmed, or you're disappointed, or you have a habit of doubting yourself. Doubt is a problem, because what is it? It's a seed, and the gestation of that seed is worry. And then that moves into fear and anxiety. Right? That it's not a good thing. It's not serving you. So I get a lot of people say, I'm risk adverse. Risk adverse. Well, that concept, risk adverse, is going to keep you stuck in places you don't want to be for a long time until you decide, well, I don't want to consider this risk adverse idea anymore because it's not going to serve me. So just be careful of who you listen to and the ideas that you adopt, because becoming a deliberate decision maker, someone who can see where they want to go, know that you've got to make a series of decisions to get to that point, and just start making decisions. Get behind your decision, make the decision, get behind the decision. But if you're making it from a growth state of being how you feel confident, you feel positive expectations, and you believe in what you're doing. If you're making decisions from that point, they'll be more right than wrong. If you're making decisions from a fear-based mentality where you're disconnected from your source of supply, you can see where that decision is going to take you. It's going to take you down a road of disappointment. It's going to take you down a road. It's going to keep you stuck in the lane that you're in right now. To move out of the lane that you're in at the moment, that you're traveling in, where you might be experiencing frustration, you're going to have to keep growing. You're going to have to keep stepping out of that lane. So that's 3 ideas that I've given you today. One is, for yourself, become clear that your source of supply is the center point for your life, for your personal growth, for your personal enjoyment while you're on the earth. And then the biggest surprise is becoming aware that you can become more aware of who you are all the time. It's just a constant growth in becoming aware of what is possible in every single human being's life. And it's not restricted to the family that you're born into, or the color of your skin, or the education you've had. It's not limited by any of that. Whether you're male or female, or you gender neutral, and so on. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with who you are as a spiritual being having a human experience. And so I've got more to go through, but I think it'll be a bit much for today. So you've got 3 ideas just to consider, to make part of a personal philosophy as an entrepreneur, and that your source of supply, your greatest surprise, which is consciousness, and then what state of being are you in? Are you in a growth state more often than a disconnected primal state? And there's more of that in the other episodes here, giving you more detail in that. And if anyone wants to, we help entrepreneurs. We have a free service. It's a WhatsApp group where we help people. We teach you, we give you tools on developing a growth state of being on a daily basis. So it's an entrepreneur accountability group. If you'd like to join that, reach out. All I need is your mobile number, put you on that group, and you can become part of it. There's some simple videos of instruction. Anne Nola Harris is on that video, and she works with your energy, gives you tools to shift your energy state, so that you're not only working with your mind, you're also working with the energetic state of your being, and it's all a little bit exciting. So I hope this helps you. I love you a lot, and I'll be back next week with more on this idea. I think it's a really good idea. Thank you.